LabCoat Agents. It's Tristan and Dan. You still on there? Oh, Dan disappeared, but he's in the background. And oh, there he is. Hey, Dan. And today we've got Piper, which I met about a month ago, but I had known about for like a year, 2 years at least, because she was all over media when this whole crypto thing went crazy. Was that about a year and a half ago, Piper, that everybody like started talking about crypto?
Yeah, because it hit about 20 grand in December of 2017, and it was kind of downhill from there. But yeah, there was a huge frenzy up until that point.
When that happened, that's when I Googled, I'm like, who's done it? And your name popped up. So this is a webinar that I've been trying to put together for a while, and it was awesome that we got to meet and talk and go from there. So thank you for being on. Can you tell the people listening in and the people that are going to be listening to this in the future a little bit about you and how you got started with crypto?
Yeah, I think it's a funny story. And thank you for having me, by the way. But I literally fell into it at the end of 2016. I had some buyers find me randomly online, wanted to look at some places in Manhattan Beach, in my area. And, we hit it off, looked at a few houses, about the $3 million price point range. And, they said, hey, by the way, we're going to buy this in Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, no problem. So, and I've heard of it, but, I didn't know anything else about it. And so I just, we started Googling and finding anybody we could talk to and just try to put the pieces together. And, we weren't finding much, but we finally found a payment processor that would convert the Bitcoin into cash, for the seller. And we made it happen. And then I went on to do 4 more after that. And they were all a little bit different. We had to find some creative ways to get the Bitcoin transferred and everything in the transaction, but we got it done.
All right. So how many transactions have you done with crypto?
5 total.
5. That's 5 more than me. That's really good job. Good job on that. So I have a lot of questions. There are a lot of my personal questions. So if anybody has any questions, let me see if I have my screen open. Dan, I know you're listening in the background. If you see any questions, because there might be some that come through, just ask them. Just interrupt us and ask us. All right. All right. So question. Oh, hold on. Let me close this one down. Question number 1 for me is once you were doing that first transaction and you realized, wow, this is a possibility, right? You're doing your homework. It looks like everybody can actually make this happen. Take us through that process to convince the other agent on the other end that this isn't fake, because that's the first thing that I would think. I'd be like,
exactly. And he was rightfully, thinking that. I mean, and I just talked to him again yesterday because now those people are selling their house, and he teases me about Bitcoin every now and then. But no, he thought we were trying to scam him the day before we closed. I mean, up until it was just and it was getting all that together and making all those moving parts happen, took years off my life, it felt like anyway. And then literally we're about to close and he's like, are you sure this isn't a scam? I'm like, no, my God, I'm not going to risk my license on this, right?
Very true.
Yeah. So what happened during the escrow process?
Your mic's a little bit, it's got like this little static noise.
Oh, okay. Is that better?
Still there.
Let me change. You know what? I think it's because I got my speakers on and I have this problem.
No problem.
How's that? Is that better? Nope.
No, it still sounds a little bit staticky. It's
okay, how's that? Is that better?
Much better. Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah, it was because I had my external speaker on. So.
Awesome. All right, shoot.
Okay. Where was I? The escrow process. Yeah. So we finally get into escrow, and escrow doesn't want to touch the funds. They said, we'll do everything else, but you're going to have to figure out, we have no capabilities of transferring the funds over. So we got the CCO from BitPay, who's our payment processor, was coming through town back from vacation. We literally had a roundtable discussion with the seller's agent, the escrow company, BitPay. Yeah, and mind you, this was like I think Bitcoin at this time was maybe $760. I don't even think it was $800 yet. And I'm thinking in my mind, oh my God, that's so much money, And Sunny's saying it was his name. He came in and he was so sure. He was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be $5,000 by the end of next year. Well, it ended up being $20,000 by the end of the following year. It's crazy.
Wow.
But anyway, so yeah, we figured out that the seller was kind of young and had been open enough to open up a BitPay account to get the funds transferred. So that's how that happened. So I mean, it's literally just opening. It's almost like it's easier than opening up a bank account, really. So, and that's how we transferred the funds over. And then about 7 days before we were supposed to close, their lawyers got a hold of it and said, no, we're not going to do this at all. Take this out of escrow. So we had to scramble to find another escrow company that could close this in 7 days. And all the while, the other agents, give me a hard time just almost every other day. Like, are you?
Of course. Yeah. You just never, you never know, because we don't want to be the agent that gets screwed at the end, right?
Exactly. And I don't want to be the one that loses my license at the end and they can't.
Yes.
So it's like, there's a lot at stake,
All right. So you've done 5 transactions. Can you take me through, so let's say I'm representing a client with crypto, and can you take me through that process of how do I verify, what do I use as proof of funds? How do I submit the offer? What's the conversation I'm having with the other end? Just take me through the process so that I know how it works.
Okay, so we'll kind of start at the end. Most likely, the seller is not going to want to accept crypto, period. At least not right now. So it's going to have to be converted to cash, more than likely. There are several ways that you can show proof of funds. There are the big exchanges now. There's Coinbase and Gemini. They actually show your name at the top, and you can verify. You take a screenshot. You can verify that's actually your account. That's an easy way to do it. What if somebody comes to me and they've got some weird coin, that nobody's ever heard of, or maybe they even have like Litecoin that they want to transfer over. They're going to have to convert it to Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, because those are the only 2 coins that BitPay deals with right now.
Which ones are those?
The Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So so they're gonna. I mean, if they're really serious, they'll convert it. There's no problem.
A few people are saying your mic's a little in and out still.
Oh my God! What's going on? Sorry. Technical difficulties. I don't know what it is. Guys.
Let me see here.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Is that better?
Yeah, actually, that sounds better.
Zoom thing.
Oh yeah.
Is that better?
Way
Okay.
better. All right.
Way better. Okay. Yeah. I have like all these different choices. What?
1,000% better.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Okay, I have to remember that one. And that's I don't know.
All right, good job. Good job.
I can convert Bitcoin, but I can't figure out Zoom. Anyway, what was I saying?
No, you're giving us the two types of companies that exchange.
Yeah. Okay, so there are several different companies, but it's BitPay that I deal with. I can get them on the phone. They're the ones that only deal in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So, like I said, if somebody's got, like, say, even Litecoin or even Ethereum, seller doesn't want to take that, only wants the cash, we have to be able to convert it to Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. So, and then in the meantime, they need to open up, if they don't have a BitPay account or a BitPay wallet, they need to open up a BitPay compatible wallet. They only recognize, like, it's got to be the protocol compatible. wallet for them so they can actually see it and read it and, but it's just easier, just to open up a BitPay account, no big deal. And that way they can verify that the funds are there. They can, the escrow company will send out an invoice. I've got 2 escrow companies now that are set up with BitPay, so that makes it a lot easier.
Are they local? Are they local to you?
Yeah.
Who are they?
One is Glen Oaks.
Oh, that's the one I use. Nice.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, Joe came to me. We do blockchain panels sometimes, and Guarantee Escrow in Hermosa Beach.
Guarantee. Okay, so Glen Oaks is actually almost everywhere in SoCal, so that's good.
Yeah, it's really great to have them. Yeah, and I think they just completed one just recently. It was pretty high net worth. So
I love it. All right, so they're fine. Then the seller, let's say the seller that you're putting an offer in, they've done that process where now they're okay. They can see the funds. They're like, oh, okay, got it. I can receive them, and then I guess exchange it for cash, right?
That's what BitPay does. So they've got the reserves. They almost kind of act like a bank. What happens is the escrow company sends out an invoice to the buyer. They have 15 minutes to pay it. Once they hit send, the Bitcoin is locked in. The price. So there's no more volatility issues.
Okay.
And so BitPay takes that and then converts it to cash and wires that cash to the escrow company.
What's the process like? Is that a day thing or is that like an instant thing?
You know what? If it's done, if as long as we get the wire cutoff time, we're actually kind of dealing with East Coast wire cutoff times, unfortunately. So if it's done before noon here, we're good. Otherwise it'll go in the next day.
That's terrible. We own tech in the West. Why do we have to rely on the East Coast? What the hell is that?
That's where they're banking.
All right. So that's cool. So Bitcoin's just like cash, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I love that. So then you've done 5. What have been some of the challenges that you've found that somebody like me who has done 0, what should I be looking forward to as challenges?
I tell agents just to call me,
I would call you. I'd be like, Piper, what the hell is this?
I know, and I've gotten those, trust me, a lot of times, like I said, each one of mine have been very different, and, getting proof of funds, all that stuff, that's been a little bit challenging, but it's becoming a little bit easier now. What I'm seeing now is, I both sides really. I get buyers who, contact agents or contact me. I've got this whatever coin, that nobody's ever heard of. I've got, $1 billion, valuation of this, and I want to buy, Beverly Hills hotels or something like that. I've literally gotten that call, and it's like, no, it's not real, and it's been, and I've had a couple of tough ones too. We had a rapper approach us a few months ago, and he actually got tied up in a pyramid scheme. And it took me a minute because they were like copycat coins, and it took me a minute to realize that these were not real coins, And so I had to tell him he didn't have $14 million, he thought he had, and it was a very difficult conversation. So, and, but then you've got, these other people who are just trying to pull a fast one, they're trying to buy property with magic beans. And really, you just need to know, you need to know the coin. You need to do your research on it. If it's not on CoinMarketCap or Binance or somewhere, if it's not being traded on a global scale, then it probably doesn't exist. And they're probably either tied up in a pyramid scheme or they're trying to pull a fast one. And that's usually where the conversation ends. I say, okay, great. Well, you've got all this coin. You can transfer it to Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash and we'll talk, and usually the conversation ends there.
That's because you know what you're talking about. But if they call me, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. I'll take you out right now. Yeah,
well, I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, let's go, man. Let's do this. And, I'm never going to turn business down. If they're serious, they'll make the transfer.
Yeah, that's so funny. All right. So you really wanted to make that transfer first in order for
I do.
Okay.
Absolutely. And of course I'm going to check you out. I'm going to make sure that, you're a real person, and I had another guy approach me, and said, well, we've got this LLC that we want to buy under. Okay, great. I need to see all the signatories. I need to see the paperwork. I need to see IDs, and again, it just kind of fell short there because, he didn't want to supply all that. I'm like, well, I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to do the deal if I don't know who I'm dealing with.
Well, so you know what questions to ask. So let's go through it then. Let's say I'm calling up and I'm like, hey Piper, I saw you on an article online about crypto, and you've helped out a few people. I've got some crypto. I want to buy a house. I mean, what's the first question you're asking?
Okay, great. What coin do you have?
I'm going to just say Bitcoin.
Okay, great. Next off, what's the price point? Anything that you would like normally ask, maybe like a cash buyer. Are you looking to buy all cash, or you want to do like a hybrid? Because I've got, lenders who will, count it as an asset, and you can put your down payment down in crypto and finance the rest.
I didn't know I could do half and half. Well, you know what? Let's just say I'm going to buy a house. And I've got $1 million worth of crypto. That's my limit. I want to buy $1 million house.
Okay, great. So then I would ask you then if you had a BitPay account.
Okay.
And if not, then all right. Well, let's get one of those set up.
Piper, wouldn't somebody who has Bitcoin already have a BitPay account, or not yet?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it could be held on any number of wallets. It could be in cold storage. It just depends on where they have it. One deal I had, the guy had a few million on spread across several wallets, and they weren't BitPay compatible. So we had to create a wallet that BitPay could see, basically.
Okay. All right. I'll open one. Got it. I'll pretend I don't have one. So
Okay.
where do I go to open one of those?
You know what? I would actually, I go to bitpay.com,
Okay.
and I can actually get my buddy Rory, who's an account exec there, on the phone with you, and we can walk you through it. I can be on the call as well, and then he can also verify that the funds are there and ready to go.
Awesome. I love it. All right. So I guess right after that, what's the next step? Should I do that first and then what?
Well, we can always put an offer in. If I find your condo or house or whatever, we put an offer in. We can always see if the seller is willing to take crypto. More than likely, not. I'd write it up in the contract that hey, this is what's going to be happening, so we're all transparent, everybody's on the same page, and let the seller and the seller's agent know you're going to get the cash no matter what. You're going to get that $1 million no matter what Bitcoin is doing. So rest assured.
Piper, question here. How do you write that part in the contract that it's crypto and not cash or a loan?
Okay, yeah, I would just, under, the first page, where we're talking about financing, I would just, additional terms or whatever, we would say, buyer is purchasing, with, $1 million Bitcoin, that will be converted to $1 million cash at close of escrow, or however you want to word it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So let's say I open the account, and then you guys verified I'm ready to go. I can just go out and buy a home tomorrow then, as long as the seller accepts crypto, right?
Yeah, pretty much, and even if not, we can still, convert it to cash in a matter of a day.
All right. So I can convert it over to cash pretty easy now. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
All right. So then that's cool. And so if I don't want to convert it over to cash and I want to keep it as crypto, there's escrow companies that can get involved. Obviously, you talked about Glen Oaks Escrow.
Yeah.
Do we need anybody else involved at that point besides escrow and to handle the crypto and the seller?
Yeah, well, so it's still, even though it's going to these escrow companies, they're still going to be converting it to cash no matter what. So, it just, and, as far as like, you can still, you don't necessarily need that. But, you could, liquidate your Bitcoin, and put it in the bank, and as, cash. But, depending on your bank, depending on what the deal is, you might have to show that's, you might have to season those funds, before you buy. So there's a tiny little loophole, and I'm kind of getting off on a tangent. There's a tiny little loophole that you don't have to season the funds, like if it's Bitcoin to cash and, cash transact, we've never had to show that these funds have been seasoned. So, yeah.
Got it. All right. Cool. I love it. All right. So then I bought a house. I'm good. Thanks, Piper.
Sure.
That was easy.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to buy a house with, it's easier to buy a house with crypto than it is with cash.
Yeah. That's why my buyers wanted to do it,
Like, where'd the cash come from? I don't know.
Yeah.
With the crypto, here you go.
Right.
I love it. All right. So anything I'm missing, Piper, because this is the first time I'm talking about crypto with somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Well, there's a lot of little, nuances. And again, we're all on a learning curve here. Some things get by me too, as far as like crypto is concerned, say if you have and I get these too on the sell side, I get people from all over the world saying, hey, I've got this whatever, property, this hotel, this resort or whatever, and I want to sell it in crypto. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I still need to know that you own that property. I still need to verify that it is your property and that you're going to, it's yours to sell. And a lot of times it stops right there, because they're trying to pull a fast one, So those are just things to be, aware of. You just ask questions.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I have one question here by Diane Hicks. What is the lead time frame BitPay needs to send an invoice to convert?
Really, if the funds are there, and it's actually escrow that would send the invoice, through BitPay. They don't need any lead time. It's just like, it's literally just coordinating it, saying, hey, is the buyer going to be at his computer at, 10 o'clock? I'll send the invoice at 10 o'clock, because he's, like I say, he's only going to have 15 minutes to pay it. And that's it. So,
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another question. Annabella Diego. Tristan, I did a transaction in October with a purchase of a Spanish Hills property in October of 2018. There's no escrow and title blockchain now. We had a small hiccup, but we purchased it with Bitcoin and it was very interesting. Oh, okay.
Great. Yeah, no, that's once, there are title companies out there that are working to get information up on the blockchain. There are lenders out there. There's a startup that I'm working with, with all the parts are kind of moving together, and we're still a long ways out from having the entire process up on the blockchain. But yeah, we're going to be able to fund loans within 48 hours, title, conveyance, disclosures, smart contracts, all that. That I'm looking forward to.
Got it. All right, that's a good comment right there from Annabella too. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
So, Piper, what do you think? What do you think is next here for crypto? Because it had like this super huge hype, and then it died down. But yeah. I know that's not the end of it, because I think it was just a peak of what the possibility is.
True.
What do you think is going to happen next with crypto?
Well, honestly, it's not going away. I always say that. We needed to have that happen though, because it was like this frenzy, and the reason why it did, I want to, for lack of a better word, tank, was because of the futures markets. Like the day it hit 20,000 is when the futures markets hit, and so it kind of went down from there. Now it's starting to kind of level out and go back up again. Are we in a bear or bull market? I don't know yet. It's looking like we're kind of coming out of it. But you get these whales, they call them, that buy and sell, huge amounts, and it's market manipulation. So we're always going to be contending with that. Virgie, on a panel that we were on a couple of weeks ago, liquidity is kind of a issue right now, with the altcoins. There's just not enough liquidity, which is a really good point. And then, but as far as like Bitcoin, like stable coins are going to be, becoming a little bit easier to use, more prevalent, and stable coins are actually tethered to fiat, tethered to the US dollar. So
that's cool. So there's something to tie it to.
You've got it backed. And so, the volatility is not there.
So you've got Bitcoin. So these are the types of money, I guess, or crypto.
Yeah.
It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and I think there might be like a couple of other ones, but those are the big three, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, and
Litecoin. Bitcoin Cash is pretty big, so those are like the top four. That they're I'm not going to say they're not stable coins, but they're the big ones. Yeah.
Okay. And then you've heard, maybe this was recent, Facebook wants to come into the picture.
Uh-huh.
Right? They're working on a secret cryptocurrency project.
I believe that, yes.
Called Libra. And
yep.
It was perfect timing. So actually I booked you before I knew that. So that was kind of cool. And I mean, if a big company like that is coming in and trying to create their own amazing cryptocurrency, and they have that much pull, I'm watching, because that would be kind of very awesome.
Yeah, get in on that. I'm not a big trader like I used to be, but I keep your eye on the market. Bitcoin news, all that. I mean, these exchanges are popping up all over the world, and they're solutions to a lot of really, big problems that, especially like, say like Venezuela, Greece, it's almost, I'm not saying it's like the end all be all solution, but it's an option now, to these failing economies, it's really kind of cool.
And getting in at the very beginning when the price is low, I think that's super key. It's like the invention of the dollar. It's like, here you go, everybody.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I
know it's really cool. But I have to caution, just do your homework.
Do your homework, only because it's a little wild westish out there still.
Oh my God, yeah, you're not kidding. Another cool thing is tokenization. That's another rabbit hole to go down, but we've got these platforms, that are working on tokenizing commercial and residential real estate. So you can own a portion and do direct trading of buildings and all kinds of properties, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It's almost like a REIT, almost like crowdfunding, but not quite. You don't have all that red tape, and it's more liquid.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know about that one. Wow. All right. Well, Piper, I want to do a podcast on this too.
Okay.
And I think we'll do really well. I'm going to have Jeff reach out to you.
Okay.
And schedule a podcast. And this will be like one out of a billion times that we'll have you on, because.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very long, changing conversation. Yeah.
It's going to be. I'm pretty sure in the next year we're going to see a lot more of this, especially when Facebook decides that they want to launch theirs, because the government is being super crucial of everything Facebook does right now.
Uh-huh.
So they're in their face right now. So let's see how that goes. And as soon as they launch, if they launch, I'd love to have you on so we can go over that too. And
that'd be great.
And then I want to chill with you again soon. I'll probably see you like in 2 weeks or so. Next week. I see you next week. I'm having that class in Torrance or Manhattan.
Oh, right. Yes, I'm definitely going. Yes.
I'll see you next week. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Piper. I appreciate it. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.